Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vera and in today's video I'm going to be setting up my bullet journal spreads for the month of June. I'm absolutely in love with how this theme turned out, so let's get straight into it.
If you've been following my Plan With Me videos this year, you'll know that every month I've chosen a different colour, and this month is no exception. This month's colour is brown, and I think it's pretty appropriate as I head into winter. Unfortunately for me, I am in the southern hemisphere, and that means that July is winter and not summer. Anyway, the theme I'm going for are these kind of leaves, totally copied from this poster that I found on Pinterest, by the way. They slightly evolve over time as I draw them on and adapt them to my own style, but the idea is copied from here. I'm just going to use them to outline the borders of the page, and I'm just showing you how I do this with a pencil first, and as I go along I eventually stop using the pencil because I get more confident and comfortable drawing these particular shapes. I'm going to be drawing 4 different styles of leaves today, and I'm going to be using 4 different brown colors for them. I'll be using some Ecoline brush markers and some Crayola Supertips to achieve the different colors, and I'm really excited to show you. I'm just finishing off drawing the last leaves, and I'm just going to draw the word June because we are going into June, and I think that's pretty crazy because June is the 6th month of the year, and how are we already almost halfway through the year? That's wild, and I am not prepared. Here are the markers that I'll be using, and to start this off I actually just grabbed every single brown marker that I owned, including some pens that I'll use to decorate things or write things out, and I'm surprised at how many brown markers I have because, I don't know, it's not a color that I use very often. I'm grabbing a spare piece of paper to swatch the different pens to see which ones I want to use, and then to start off with I'm going to lightly erase my guidelines just to have the faintest line so that I know where to put my pen, but also so I don't see it. Then I'm just going to use a very light hand, and you'll see it easier or better in this clip here. I lightly push at the beginning of the leaf or at the tip, and then I push harder in the middle and then release the pressure at the end, creating a fatter middle and a very thin pointed tip of the leaf. I bring the leaf down so that it starts in the center of this kind of area and the leaves fan out around it. Originally I was trying to go for a 1-stroke kind of thing, but I ended up using 2 strokes, and I like the textured effect where you see the 2 strokes of the marker. It's also pretty cool because these markers, when you press really hard, they have a darker color at the edge, so some of the darkness comes through, and then lighter when you release the pressure. This is the next leaf that I'm doing, and it is again this kind of mustard yellow color. The leaves this time are really big ones. You push in the middle and you lighten your pressure at the edge. It's the same thing for all leaves really, and I'm just going to use this and attach the leaves to the stem in the middle. It's very relaxing to paint or to draw these kind of leaves because it's just pretty mindless and you can do it, and it's very satisfying to watch evolve on the page. It's fast, so if you're just needing to relax from a long day, it's a really effective way. Long leaf here, I'm not sure what these leaves are, by the way, because I've copied them from somewhere else. I wouldn't know what to call them, but this long leaf is really satisfying to draw, and I'm just going to leave a small gap in the middle, kind of to indicate where the stem would kind of grow off, but it's just going to be transparent. I'm not worrying too much about the leaves overlapping each other and then blending in with different colors, because at the end of the day I wanted everything to overlap, so it's not that big of a deal. The last one is this really thin, kind of similar to the mustard yellow one, and it's just a really thin one that I'm using with a Crayola Supertip. The idea is to draw the stem and then draw the leaves parting from the stem, and they're really thin leaves spaced out about the same amount for each leaf, with the leaves going further down the stem getting bigger than the ones at the top, because you'd expect the leaves at the top to be the new shoots coming out. Then I'm just going to write the word June in the very middle with a little dot at the end, and that's my cover page. Now let's move on to my monthly log. I flipped to my overview at the beginning of my journal to figure out how many days are in the month of June, and also to figure out where the month starts. Unfortunately for me, I only paid attention to the beginning and I mess up several times, which you will see in a moment. I'm then just going to trace out with a pencil my guidelines for the leaves again, because I'm still not quite confident or comfortable enough to do them without the pencil, but I will get better at this later on in the video. For this monthly log, I'm going to use a table which is 4x4 squares if you're using a dot grid journal, and I'm just going to trace the lines down my page, and the month starts on a Wednesday and I'm pretty sure it ends on a Thursday, but I unfortunately made it until Friday, which confuses me, which is where I end up making mistakes. I'm just going to trace the lines horizontally as well, so now we can see a calendar form. I start by writing the numbers out as well, so 1 all the way to 30, but when I get to 30 you will notice that I'm confused because there's an extra box, and then I get confused again because I white out all of the numbers thinking that I started the day wrong, but in fact I just added an extra box at the end of the month. So I have to scratch out my whiteout and re-white out the numbers that I added on to the right side, because the ones that were on the left side were the ones that were right, and the ones on the right side were unfortunately the ones that were wrong. So we're starting the month off really great. I also white out the little extra box on the bottom just because I don't need it anymore, but I really could have just left it as a decoration because it doesn't make that much difference either. This month I'm going back through things chronologically, and right now I'm just going to add on some leaves. Previous months have been a little bit more hectic where I've done all of the lines and the words first and then the designs afterwards, but this month, because the theme is really easy to do and the leaves are super satisfying, I'm doing it in chronological order. These ones are the mustard yellow leaves, so again I'm drawing a stem, then I'm doing another leaf going from that middle stem towards the outside. I'm just using a very rough shape of a leaf before filling it in with the same color. It kind of gives off a leaf shape, I guess, a very thin one, and I'm really happy with how this turns out. I'm going to use the same color to continue doing the same style of really bigger leaves on this other side of the page, and I'm showing you this still in this kind of slower speed so that you understand my process, so that when we continue doing other spreads later I can speed it up so that you know what you need to be doing if you want to recreate this theme. I got these markers for free from Express It, who kindly sent them over. Express It sent me a bunch of different things to be a feature artist for them, so I was really excited to use these markers, and they are watercolor markers so you can technically blend them in together, but I am not doing this for this month and I'm a bit disappointed actually. I should have at least tried, but I don't think it would hold up too well on this journal. I would really need to do it on watercolor paper. We're now moving on to those kind of leaves that are really long and then grouped together in the center. I think these leaves look super effective and they're really cool. So again, light pressure at the base of the stem and then a harder pressure when you get towards the middle tip of the leaf, and then I'm going to recreate that effect on the top of the page, always overlapping leaves with other leaves so that it really looks like it's kind of like a jungle vibe, even though it's obviously not a jungle because the leaves are brown and in jungles everything seems to be always green. I'm just going to insert a little time lapse continuing on with this page so that you can just enjoy the action of brushing a pen across the page. Monthly log, I'm going to add the Monday through Sunday headers on my calendar, and I'm also going to include a color code down the bottom. This pen that I'm using, by the way, is a dual metallic Pentel pen, and it is my favorite color ever, or at least these are my favorite gel pens. They are metallic, and I will insert a clip of the shine it gives right here. The color code that I use, by the way, down the bottom is for habits that I track over the entire month. So when I wash my hair, when I wash my sheets, when I vacuum, and when I wash my clothes. And this is my cover page and my monthly log done. Super happy with how this turned out, by the way. We're now moving on to some monthly habits, but not really, because there's only one that I'm putting in this month, and it is my gratitude log. I've decided to stop using my finance tracker because, as I mentioned in my previous video, my finance tracker is really good on my phone, or at least the categorization system on my phone. My banking app is really good, so I don't feel the need to do this in my journal anymore. I will keep doing the summaries that I do at the very beginning of my journal, and this is the summary that I'm talking about. I compile everything into this big table here, and at the end of the year I can see how much I spent and how much I earned throughout the entire year. The one thing that I am adding this month is my Instagram ideas tracker, I guess you could call it. It's a vertical calendar where I'm just going to put my ideas for my Instagram posts. I usually don't do this because I had been using the app Later to schedule all of my posts, but the free version of Later just reduced their post scheduling from 30 posts down to 10 per month, which is so annoying because I am used to posting about every single day, so it's not convenient for me anymore. But at the moment, because I am in a bit of a rut on Instagram, I guess it's okay to post less, and I just have to figure out what to post in this case. But again, I'm kind of disappointed about Later for doing this. Now I'm going to use my Crayola Supertip. This is the dark brown color to go over my pencil guidelines, and I'm just going to write the gratitude, the IG posts, then goals down the bottom, because I'm also going to be having my goals on this page because last month, or well, we're still in May, I forgot to leave space to write my goals for the month, so I didn't have any. Well, I did, obviously, I just didn't write them down anywhere. Then I'm just going to write with what are the Staedtler? How do you even pronounce that brand? Staedtler? It's a fineliner, the Triplus fineliner, I think it's called. 1 to 30 down the left side of the column because I'm going to write my gratitude every single day. And on the Instagram post side, I'm doing the same, 1 to 30, but I'm also adding the days of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, etc. to Sunday, because I want to know when exactly I'm planning things, because I don't particularly enjoy posting on weekends anymore because I'm busy doing other things. I have things to do. I don't want to always focus on Instagram. And I'm just going to use this highlighter to highlight the weekend so that I know when exactly those are. I'm then going to go in with my leaves again and starting off with the long leaves that fan out, and I'm going to use this color. And so this is very repetitive, of course, because it is one theme only. Although I think my favorite spreads are from my review page, which is closer towards the end of the video. So if you're impatient, you can go have a look. And of course, remember that at the end of the video, I do have a flip through of all of the spreads this month. Using the dots on the page, I do kind of create a grid around my gratitude box and my goals box, but I don't actually do a physical one. I just stop the leaves at that particular area, so it gives the illusion of a box, because I don't want to be writing my gratitude or my goals on top of my brown pen. Again, I'm adding all these leaves here. I think I'm just going to time lapse the rest of these because it's the same leaves for the entire month. The things that we're most interested in are in the spreads. So let's cut to that in a moment once we've seen the time lapse. Next spread is my quote page. Now, I wasn't originally going to do a quote page, but I had the space and I really liked this quote, and so I just decided to put it in. The quote is, "Growing into yourself can sometimes look like outgrowing others," and it's a quote from Alex L, who's on Instagram. I absolutely love seeing her posts on Instagram because they make me reflect internally about what's going on in my life. Are there certain things that I could be doing better? Am I doing things that I will like about myself in a couple of years' time? What's happening in my life? Like, why am I feeling a certain way? Anyway, always super inspirational quotes, so definitely check her out on Instagram because I really love reading everything and anything that she has to say. It's all about positivity, growth, self-worth, and everybody should just check out her Instagram. Next, I am going to outline this with a very nice border, and instead of doing the same thing on my cover page where I just kind of did one side of the page for the cover page, I am going to put these leaves everywhere around the page. And these are the same leaves again, and I love it. Honestly, I'm so in love with this theme. I can't really tell you how much I love it. It's just, I think it looks awesome. I think that my weekly spreads, now that they're kind of getting repetitive, I might start only showing one of them because I don't want these videos to get too long. But because I've already done them and I've already filmed them this time, I will show you what it looks like, this one. But in the future, I think that I will stop including them. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you want me to include like repetitive spreads when it's just the weekly spread, for example, and it's the same thing over and over again, or not? Anyway, to plan out the spacing of these leaves, if you are curious, I just start with one color. I place them on 2 areas of the page. Sometimes I might go 3, sometimes I might go 4, but because of the size of these leaves, I am going to only have 2 of them. Then with the following leaves, I generally try and keep things symmetrical, but when I say symmetrical, I mean kind of like when you spin it around. So like if you were to spin this page around so that the words were upside down, then the leaves would be symmetrical. Except for I didn't do that for the second set of leaves because I don't want it to look 100% symmetrical all the time. So I put the fanning out leaves overlapping the really bigger leaves just on a different side. I'm not sure why I'm struggling to explain this. You're obviously watching what I'm doing and it's pretty self-explanatory. You really just arbitrarily place the leaves where you want them to go. Then I'm going to put on the longer leaves, and I'm not gonna lie, when you kind of look at it like this, it kind of looks like a poop, like a long poop. The color also looks like a poop. Anyway, I think I'm thinking about my gut health journal a bit too much, or like my poop journal, because I call it a poop journal and not a gut health journal anymore. I think it gives it a little bit more of a fun vibe to call it a poop journal instead of a gut health journal, just to not take things so seriously all the time. Although I do fill it out religiously every single morning. And if you're interested or curious about what I have to say about habits about this poop journal, you can check out my video called Habits, or like the best habit trackers. It's my previous video on my channel. I'll also link it on the card here. And I'm going to do another updated video on that because I did a video on my gut health journal where I did everything super pretty, super nice, but in reality the journal actually didn't end up sticking that way. So I will create a video about this at some point on my channel, so stay tuned. I've always had a thing for drawing leaves. I think it's because drawing leaves is really easy. It's something that you can get good at really quickly without thinking too hard or without having to go through years of practice. And the reason I really love this particular theme is because if you caught a sneak glimpse of my arm, I actually have a tattoo, and it's a book with leaves and flowers coming out of it, and it's very representative of my personality as well. Not only my personality, but of the things that I like to draw, which are leaves. And because I like to bullet journal, well, the leaves coming out of a bullet journal / book is just very representative of my personality. And then if you have seen my logo running around on Instagram, on my Etsy store, you'll also know that it's a V, and then half of the V are leaves. And I should have drawn leaves like the leaves on my logo for this month, but I didn't think about it because when I was copying this other poster, they obviously didn't have the same leaves that I have on my logo. I go back in with the bigger leaves that I did at the beginning because I decided that there was still missing some leaves on that side of the page and I didn't want it to be too empty. And that is this quote page all done. I think it looks so good. Oh my gosh. Let's move on to the weekly spreads. For the weekly spreads, I'm going to start by counting and using a pencil. From the top, I count 8 squares on a dot grid journal down because I'm going to put in a mini calendar and a color code on the top of the page, so I need space up there. Next, I'm going to put in my scheduler. So each day of the week has 2 columns assigned to them, and then I write on the left of the columns the numbers 5 to 24. This represents the hours of the day. On the right of the scheduler, I'm going to put Monday through to Sunday again, and this is when I'm going to put my tasks. On the bottom of the page, I'm going to have habits and notes. Then I'm going to go in with my Crayola Supertip to get all of my headers out of the way. So instead of writing the entire week word out, I'm just going to put a W, a dot, and the week number, and we're in week 22 and 23. At the top, I'm also going to put these little kind of headers, so it's this rounded header for the mini calendar and the color code, and then I'm going to put little circles where my scheduler will be, so there's going to be 7 circles for the 7 days of the week on both pages. I'm also going to draw a very long little header like this, and this is for my tasks for the week, and I will be going over this with a pen so that I fill out all of the ideas. If you saw my video where I did a real-time weekly plan with me, I do explain in more detail how I use this particular spread, so you can go check that video out. After the headers are down, I'm going to go in with a pen, and this is a Staedtler Triplus Fineliner, I think, and it's a brown pen, and I never use the brown pens, so this one feels just like new. It's buttery smooth, very, very nice to use. I'm also going to draw my lines. So these lines go in the middle of the day, and then on the left side is my plan for the week or for the day, and on the right side is what I actually ended up doing. I still find it a little bit difficult to do this because I haven't quite gotten into the habit of doing it, but I am getting better at it, or at least the planning stage. page, and then the actually sticking to that plan does change from day to day because I'm not always in the mood to stick to my plans. I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the other side using this nice font, very faux calligraphy kind of thing. I'm going to write color code at the top there, then I'm going to do my mini calendar on the right. I'm going back in with my Crayola Supertip to write the header habits and notes using this very faux calligraphy, not faux, it's a modern calligraphy. I don't know why I keep saying faux calligraphy. It's a modern calligraphy style where the downstrokes are fatter and the upstrokes are thinner. I'm keeping the habits area relatively small because you only have 7 days in the week, so you don't need that much space for it. Then the next part is to add on the details, and for week 24, week 25 and week 26 I will just show you the details because it's the exact same spread, so you don't really need to watch it again. And for this one I'm going to do the details in the middle of the page, so I'm going to have the leaves stemming from the middle, and on the week 24-25 they're going to be on the side. I feel like I always seem to start off with this big leaf here, and it's because it feels like the centerpiece and I want it to be like in the middle of my page. Then I go with the fanning leaves and all of the other leaves. Let's speed this up so that we can appreciate the video or get to the end of the video so that we can see the flip through. I'm also going to add the same leaves to the top of my page because the top is also going to have some nice decorations. Otherwise I feel like it gets a little bit too stagnant and a little bit too boring. I could bring down the header a bit more so that I would have more space at the top to add in some details, but this is just side thoughts and I obviously didn't do it. Here's another angle of me drawing with my Crayola Supertip this time. These leaves are always really rough. I'm not really focusing on perfection because the leaves don't need to be perfect, they just need to look like leaves, and because leaves are not the same in nature, they're all slightly different from each other, then I don't need to be creating any sort of perfection on my page. Because I have 2 weeks on these 2 pages, I need to know which week is which. So I'm going to use a highlighter for week 22 and put a little arrow to the left page. And then for week 23, I'm just going to highlight the line without putting an arrow to the right, because if I put an arrow to the left, that's all the information that I need to know. So let's move on to week 24, as I said, and I'm just going in with my decorations again. I think I'm going to stop talking for a while and just let you watch a time lapse of this happen on the page, because otherwise, there's not really much to explain here, right? The difference from the weekly spreads this month is that instead of doing a line in the middle like I did for week 22 and 23, I'm doing a box or a table because I want to use different colors to do my color code, and I think that it could be an interesting idea to still use 2 columns, but instead of having the line in the middle, just do 2 columns side by side and then just having them match up. I will post a picture of this on Instagram or on my community tab if you did not understand a word that I just said, because it might have been a little bit confusing. But the idea is that in this column for Monday, there's 2 mini columns. There's just no distinction between them from the camera angle. But on the first part of the column, I will do my plan and I will fill out the entire box column. And on the second half of the column, I will do what I actually did. Very straightforward in the end. There's no novelty here. I feel like I should try and add new things every month just to make it a little bit more exciting. But I do get people who are new to my channel every month watching my videos. So maybe there is some credit to repeating things again and again. But just let me know if it is getting a little too repetitive. We've come to the part where I do my review, and my review has not changed since February. So it's exactly the same squares, exactly the same spread. The only thing that changes every single time is the design. And today I'm going to keep all the design on the right part of the page, so the top and the right, and the boxes are going to be on the bottom and the left. Now, if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen any of my plan with these from the past, I have several different boxes and they all represent a different aspect of my month. So I have 2 boxes, one for positives, one's for negatives, and I have a box for my mood moods, I have a biggest highlight box, I have an obsessing over box, I have Instagram followers, YouTube subscribers, notes. I also have a box for brainstorming goals in the next month, and then I have 3 boxes at the bottom for movies, TV shows, and music. I don't have a books box because I track all of my books and my reading at the very front of my journal, so I don't feel the need to add an extra box in my review. I don't know if it's helpful, but I figured I'm just going to do it anyway. Because I've been doing this review for such a long time, I never actually detail what I put into each box. Like, I know I have a header, but I don't really go into more details. So I'm just going to explain a little bit more for you, just in case you want to recreate this and you don't know what to put in. So positives and negatives, for example, it's really based on anything. I generally take it as moods. For example, if I had a particularly bad day and I was stressed out because of work, for example, I would put, well, a negative was work, and I'll put the factors as to why it was negative. I'm trying to determine a cause and a reason why my mood was negative on that particular day. So I'm writing down triggers for negative days and triggers for positive days, because in the end, I want to enhance my positive experiences and decrease my negative ones, which is why I write them down. For my moods, I guess it kind of ties in with my positives and negatives, and in the sense that I want to see how many days in the month I have specific moods. And if you're unaware, I have 6 moods that I track throughout the year every single day at the very beginning of my journal, and the moods are ecstatic, happy, okay, sad, anxious/frustrated, and angry. And I track that at the beginning of the journal, so I'll just insert a little picture right now. And the detailing for that is just really simple. I track it based on the day and see when I was feeling a particular mood to see what was the cause and what was the effect of that mood. Biggest highlight is pretty self-explanatory. It's just the best day of the entire month. And I do like to reflect on previous months to see what level of biggest happiest day I had. And it's very interesting to review these. For example, in February, my biggest highlight was getting a job. And in March, it was something completely different, which I've already forgotten because I don't have my journal in front of me right now. But that's the idea. Then I have obsessing over, and this is just very personal. I really like writing down something that I'm obsessed with, because each month I tend to get obsessed with something. And for the month of May, for example, the thing that I was so totally obsessed with was the show Heartstopper, which I think I've mentioned multiple times in my videos recently. I'm sure you would imagine why it's my biggest obsession. In brainstorming goals for the next month, that's pretty straightforward as well. I have personal goals, financial goals, business goals, and I just like to brainstorm somewhere in my journal before the month starts. Instagram and YouTube trackers, that's very straightforward. How many did I have at the beginning of the month? How many did I have at the end? Movies, music, and series. Again, what movies did I watch? What shows did I watch? I haven't been doing like a rating for these movies or shows, and I think it could help because I don't want to waste too much of my time watching crap. But yeah, I haven't done that. I think I'll eventually do it, but that's for another day, another time when I'm feeling it, and right now, just not there yet. Finally, I just have a small box for notes, and to be honest, it's just a filler box at this stage because I never write a single thing in it. But yeah, that's a breakdown of these boxes. There is a slight difference this month because in previous months I had been using tabs on my pages. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to quickly insert a picture for you. And the tabs that I've been using are really helpful, but for some reason this month I decided to ditch them all. I think it was because I just didn't want to put too much effort into this month's work or into this month's theme because I've just been really busy doing other things. So there are no tabs this month, and I think it doesn't really change anything. I'm going to use my ribbons or just figure it out that way, but it'll be fine. We are now coming to an end of all the beautiful illustrations, or at least I think they're beautiful. You don't have to think they're beautiful, but if you've watched to this point in the video, then you must be somewhat intrigued, so that's a cool thing. If you don't know, I am an Archer and Olive affiliate, and you can buy any Archer and Olive products by using my discount code linked in the description down below, by the way. They've just come out with their summer launch and I think it looks absolutely stunning. However, their international shipping costs are a little outrageous. I totally understand it's a small business and I totally respect the hustle. I would do exactly the same thing. But if you are overseas and you're on a bit of a budget, then this might not be for you. However, if you are in the US, Canada, I think Canada also gets relatively decent shipping costs. But if you are in those countries, which most of my viewership is, then definitely check them out because some of the designs for the summer, it's a mini launch, are absolutely gorgeous, and if I did have the funds to buy them, I totally would, but I am a little bit broke this month, so I'm not going to be buying anything. But if you do, definitely use my code down below, Vero10, for 10% off the Archer and Olive collection, entire collection, and I hope you enjoy the products because they are really stunning and I really do enjoy using them. But let's get to my flip through. Here is my cover page and my monthly log with the color code down that bottom side. The cover page, honestly, chef's kiss in my opinion. I have gratitude, Instagram posts and goals with a little quote on the side. We then have week 22, week 23 with the designs of the leaves in the middle. Week 24 and 25 have the designs on the edges. Week 26 also kind of goes to the middle edge, depends how you look at things, and then the review page. And that's it.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. And if you want to see more bullet journal setups, you can check out my May plan with me, which is right over here.